Hey everyone, welcome back. This is the part 3 workshop. Now, if you would have followed me for the last part 1 and part 2 workshop, so we have done multiple experiments and multiple permutations and combinations on various ways of connecting to the Ec2 instances. Now, in this, what my plan is, I've already stopped one instance, okay, the one the one which we were working, which we've been working in the last two workshops. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is, my plan is today, I'm just clicking on this. Let me start the instance first. So just click on start instance. The instances will be in pending status first. As soon as you click on start, then it will go to the active or started status. Yeah, so that is the life cycle, which we will talk about it in the upcoming workshop series. Perfect. Now, what's next, Samir? What are we going to do? Now, we have an instance created. That's all fine. Yeah. Now, the next thing is, I want to talk about something on IPs here. Okay, the public IPs and private IPs. That is very important. Cool. Now, if you click on this instance, and then if you click on this, the down screen, so you will get something. You're getting an instance ID. That's fine. And you're getting a public IP v4 address and private IP v4 address. And there is something called public IP v4 DNS and then the private IP v4 DNS. So there are four things, okay, which you need to be aware of it. But I would suggest you to, have a quick research. I mean, research in the sense, have a quick basic tutorial on that. So if you see this, what are the things which we have here is public IP v4 address. Yeah, and then we have private IP v4 address, and then we have public IP v4 DNS, and then we have private IP v4 DNS. Now, before we proceed with other topics, you have to be very clear with these items. Yeah. So what is public IP, private IP address, and what is public IP DNS and private IP DNS? Now, if you see this, what is my public IP? I'm just copying this, pasting it here. See, this public IP is like this. Okay. And what is my private IP? Comes like this. And then the DNS. Public IP DNS, copy. And then private IP DNS. Now see the difference. The public IP starts with some random numbers 54, and the private IP starts with 172, and the DNS is the it just adds the EC2. Then instead of dot dot, you will have hyphen 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 with the same number, the public IP, and then the entire fully qualified domain name. Okay. And then the private IP is the same thing, IP hyphen, instead of EC2 it's just IP hyphen, then it will add the IP address, then dot EC2 dot internal. Okay. Now, what is the use of public IP address? That is very important. Now, say for example, if we are connecting to this machine using the public IP address, right? For example, in my last session, we have opened a Windows PowerShell, and then I went to the downloads folder. Yeah. And then what I did was, if you click on connect here, then click on SSH client, and I've just copied this command name here. 1 minute. Okay, the instance does not have a public IP address. 1 minute. This is what I want to check it out. So is it started or still running? So it is in running mode. Okay, all the status check is passed, and I'm getting the public IP DNS as well and the public IP address as well. Now if you click on connect, then click on SSH client. Okay, we got this example command. Copy this and go to your PowerShell and right click and then hit enter. Now before you hit enter, so SSH is a command, the protocol, and then -i is referring where you have saved your key pair file, the private key file, and then to which machine you are trying to connect with the which user ID. So I'm trying to connect with the EC2 user ID at the rate into which domain, which user ID. So this one, if you see EC2 hyphen 54, so EC2 hyphen means, always remember EC2 hyphen means it starts with the public IPv4 DNS. See this EC2 hyphen. If you see the number EC2 hyphen 54 165 211 159.compute1.amazonaws.com, which is the same thing. Now, if you hit enter, it will connect. Okay. Now it is not getting connected. It means the first thing you have to remember, if it is not getting connected, the first thing you have to remember that the security group might be an issue. That is the first thing you have to check. Before that, just verify the command is perfect, whether the instance is active. Those are all the basic things. But the preliminary things from is make sure your security group is there, properly allowed or not, because we were messing up with the security group in the last workshop. So what we will do is, it is not getting connected. See, it might get a timeout, it will get some error. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is, I'm going back to my instance here, yeah, and then clicking on my instance ID and go to the security here, the security tab, and there is a security group here. Inside the security group, see, there is no inbound rules added. So in the last workshop, we were explaining about the session manager, wherein if you are trying to connect, and then if instead of SSH client, if you click on session manager, it will work, because we have added the IAM role. If you remember in the last workshop, make sure you verify that. Now it is connected. So only through the session manager I can connect to this machine, but not with the SSH or PuTTY. So that is why I'm not able to connect to this. Okay, cool. Now I just want to close this. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the security group, because I want to show you something. So right click, open link in new tab. The security group is opened. Now inbound rules. So here I'm going to add edit inbound rules. So just for the testing purpose, I'm going to add SSH, and then SSH, then port 22, and I'm going to choose anywhere IPv4 from any IP address. 0.0.0.0/0 means from any IP address can connect to this machine. Okay, so if I have another laptop with a different IP, I can connect to that machine as well. Okay, cool. Now just click on save rules. Now the rules have been modified. So as soon as you edit any rules, it is applicable immediately. It will apply immediately. Okay, now if you come back and then if you click on refresh your screen here by clicking the refresh button, you will see that the inbound rules should have been added. Okay, let me refresh the entire page itself. Go to security. Yeah, it is added. Now what we're going to do here is go to connect, and then session manager, click on connect. So when you click on connect, okay, I'm sorry, the session manager, I don't want to do a session manager, I want to do SSH client. So copying this, I'm opening my PowerShell. Yeah, go to CD downloads folder. Now right click and then hit enter. So now it should work. See, it is working. Cool. Now you can ask me, so Samir, this command, right, the one which we have it right now, so this command is what? This command is the SSH command where you can connect to the machine. Now instead of this, Samir, can I use my private IP to connect? Say for example EC2-user at, and this is the public IPv4 DNS. Instead of this, can I put this and try? See this? Okay, let's try that. Okay, so I'm in EC2, I'm just exiting it out. I'm in my local machine now. Right click. See, could not resolve host name. So it just says, no host is present. Okay, so now what we understood here is we need a public IP in order to connect to this machine using the SSH protocol. Now let's do another one. Okay, cool. Now this is having a public IP. Fine. I'm not touching this instance, so let the instance be running. Yeah, I'll just edit this for our easy identification with public IP, something like this, because we have a public IPs present there. Now I'm going to launch an instance, launching an instance, and I'm going to launch my web server, okay, without public IP. Amazon Linux 2, 64-bit. This is t2.micro, and here I want to choose. We'll try with putty KP. That doesn't that doesn't matter. No problem. Just click on edit. The edit, and then this is no subnet. And here, I don't want a public IP to be assigned by the AWS instance. Okay, I don't want any public IP. I want only private IP. So I'm just clicking on disable here. Auto assign public IP. Just disable it. Okay. Now select existing security group and use the security group which we created in the last workshop, my website security group. And then okay, and here I want to show you one more thing. In advanced details, if you see, there is something called Iam Instance Profile. You can add the instance profile, you can add the roles, where in the last workshop we have modified the role for a running instance. Instead of that, when an instance is getting created, you can give a role. So for example, I'm creating our session manager custom role which we created before. Yeah, and then click on launch instance. Now the instance will be launched. Now the instances will be launched if you click on the refresh button. So now see, the instances is in running status, okay, without public IP, the one which we created just now, and it is in initializing mode. And if you click on status checks here, it will be in initializing mode only. Okay. Now if you click on if you scroll right, you will see that see, it doesn't have public IP v4 DNS. It doesn't have public IP v4 public IP as well. So these two things, because if you remember, we did not opt for the public IP. We only needed the private IP, but default, all the EC2 instances will be having a private IP. Remember that, okay? But for now, I did not mention the public IP addresses. Remember? Okay, cool. Now what do I have got right now? So here I've got a private IP address. Okay. See, I've got a private IP address, and then I got my private IP v4 DNS as well. These two things are available for my new instance. Cool. Now what are we going to do here is, can we try to connect to this machine without a public IP? That is our next steps. Say for example, just clicking on this and clicking on connect. Now see, what does it says? The instance doesn't have a public IP. To connect using EC2 Instance Connect browser-based client, the instance must have a public IPv4 address. So you need a public IPv4 address if you want to connect through the EC2 Instance Connect. That is one thing. Yeah. Now the next thing is, let's see the session manager. Okay, session manager, it says we were not able to connect your instance. Common reasons for this include the same error which we were getting before. Okay, let's come back to this in some time. Now click on SSH client. Now what does it say? SSH client says, client says locate your private key file, blah 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 blah. Okay, now this is a putty key pair. If you remember, this is a putty key pair. So what we will do here is, say for example, go back. I don't have a public IP. Okay, I'm just copying my private IP here, going to putty, enter private IP. Sorry, 22. Expand the SSH, go to auth, click on browse, and what is the key pair? We've selected key pair is, what is a key pair? Key pair. Sorry. Why it's not coming? 1 minute. Wow, interesting. 1 minute. But without public IP, clicked on it. There should be a key pair. Okay, key pair. Okay, key space pair space name. Okay, key space pair space name. Okay, so my first instance putty KP. So what I'll do here is my first instance putty KP. This is the one. Click on it. Click on open. Let's see what happens. See, it is not allowing us to connect through the private IP. So if you want to connect to an instance through the SSH protocol from outside your company or through the public internet, you need a public IP. So that is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Okay, cool. Now let's try the other way. What are the other ways we have? Even the session manager will also not work if you don't have a public IP. See, we are not able to connect your instance. You will get the same things. Now click on the IP again and then see the status checks. Well, the status checks are all working fine. That is good. So without the public IP, you will not be able to connect to the machine. Always remember that, guys. Yeah. But there are various other ways of connecting the instance if you're inside the inside your company's network. That we will talk about it later in the workshop. But this is the for any basic understanding of AWS, you should know this concept. So that is what I was trying to explain to you. Okay, cool. Now let me terminate this instance. So how will you terminate the instance? Click on this, right click, and then you can click on terminate instance, or you can click on instance state and then you can click on terminate instance. So just click on terminate and then click on terminate. It will be shutting down. After some time it will say terminated. Then after few minutes the terminated instance will go away from your screen. Okay, cool. That is fine. Now the next one which we're gonna talk about is, okay, see, now it became terminated, and after some time this instance will remove away automatically from your screen. So even if it says terminated, you cannot connect. See, the connect button is grayed out. Even you can you cannot change the instance state. You cannot do anything pretty much. Okay, so that's all. Cool. Now the next one what we are going to explain to you is, let's talk about the few options in EC2 instance things. Okay, now say for example the instance which we have already running here, okay, with public IP. So I've clicked on it, instance ID. Now here you will see the instance ID. That's fine. Public IP, private IP, instance state is running. It's a public IP DNS, private IP DNS, and this is a host name type, and this is the instance type, and this is the auto assigned public IP address, which is the same thing, public IP, and this is the public IP, same thing. Now I want you guys to check something here. What is this VPC ID? So VPC ID, for example, if you want VPC, I'll tell you how this VPC works, okay, so that you guys will get an idea on this. Okay, cool. But I do have a specific video about the basics of VPC. You can always check my other videos on that. Which I have explained you detail about VPCs and other components. But for now, I'll just touch base on just for this workshop. I'll just touch base on few things. Okay. Now, what does this VPC is? For example, consider this is like a football ground or any cricket ground or anything. I'm sorry, this is a cricket ground, not the football ground. Now, so VPC is like a cricket ground, okay, wherein inside the VPC, when I'm saying launching an instance, it means that you're launching an instance somewhere inside this ground. Okay, so likewise, this is for example, this is the famous ground, some ground you can say, for example, Wembley Stadium, and there is another ground called Eden Gardens. Okay, now in Wembley Stadium you are launching one instance, and in Eden Garden you are launching one instance. So it means that Wembley is a different, altogether it's a different physical location, and Eden Garden, it's a different physical location. Okay, and for this you have different chairs and different equipments. So likewise in Eden Garden also, it's a different chairs, different equipments, different pitches, different grounds, and everything is different. It's not identical. It's not equal. Okay, it has different attributes, and this has different attributes. So likewise, So likewise, this VPC, okay, you need a VPC to launch one EC2 instance. That is very important. Say for example, this is the entire AWS. Inside this entire AWS network, inside this, you are choosing one VPC for your accounts. For example, mine is Samir VPC. So I'm just giving an example. And for this, there is another VPC called Mike VPC. You're just giving an account. Now, what you're doing here is you are securing your resources by creating a VPC, and you can launch the instances here. And you're putting one security groups and other knackles, which we'll talk about it. So nobody can access until they have a required permission. Only the certain people can access. So that is the concept of this virtual private cloud. If you want more detail about it, please watch my other videos. But for now, I can talk about this, only this way. Yeah. So that's all about VPC. So you need a VPC to launch. You need a VPC to launch an EC2. Okay, cool. Now, let me go back here. Okay, so this is what the VPC ID. So VPC ID will have a unique VPC ID. Now, there is a service called VPC here. So if I right click this VPC, if you click on this open link in new tab, okay, the new tab is getting opened. Now here, if you see VPCs, and in US East 1, I've got only one VPC. Okay, now if you click on this on the top right, these are all the regions. So regions means physically, for example, currently I am in India. So my closest region is Mumbai. So you can ask me, so Samir, why am I doing this experiment in the US East 1? Because there are a lot of things, lot of resources, lot of features are good in or available in US East 1. US East 1 is the code for this North Virginia. But there are a few things which is not available in AP South 1. So that's why I have chosen the US East 1. Okay, but ideally, if my customers are based out of India, if my website is hosted in India, if my customers are based outside of India, then you have to choose Mumbai, which is my closest region, so that your latency will be less. If your customers are Singapore, then you can host your website in Singapore area. If your customer is in Sydney, likewise. Okay, it's all. And if your customer is in Europe, based out of London, then you can go with the UK London thing. So likewise. But for this testing purpose, I'm just using US East 1. That is why I'm doing this, because we have a lot of features available there. Fine. Now inside this US East 1, how many VPCs I have currently? I have only one. Right click, and if you click on open link in new tab, you will get only one. See, so this is the default VPC. If you scroll right, it will say default VPC. Yes. So just for our understanding, I'm just mentioning like this, default VPC. Cool. Now we got a default VPC. Okay, so now I'll just open my notepad. Okay, I'll just delete entire thing. Now this is my default VPC. Yeah, cool. What is next? After that, now if you click on this default VPC, the default VPC is available. So now if you go to my diagram here, if you go to my diagram, so this is the VPC, and I got the VPC ID also. The VPC ID is what? This is the VPC ID. Okay, so this is my default VPC. So this is my default VPC. Perfect. Now what is next? Now the next is it is in available status, and this is the CIDR range. Okay, Control C. So if you go here, I'm sorry, and this is my CIDR range. Now what is a CIDR range? You need to understand this. Say for example, if I'm going to Google, and you can say like CIDR calculator. No, there is a site called CIDR.xyz. Yeah, cool. Now this is my IP range for this VPC. Okay, so you have to type 172.31.0.0./16. When you do this, if I'm opening my Excel sheet here, in my Excel sheet, so this is my 170, this is my IP VPC CIDR range. Okay, now what is my CIDR range? This is a CIDR range. Yeah. Now in this, how many IPs I can use it inside the VPC? That is the range which we are talking about. So here, if you go to the site 172.31.0.0/16, it means it says the first IP I can use it, this one, 172.31.0.1. So if you see this first IP, I can use this one. And then the last IP I can use this one. So in between, how many IPs total from the first till last? Total I can use 65,000. I can use these many IPs. When I say these many IPs, means you can use these many machines. That's what it says, 65,536 machines I can use. Now in this, there is some calculation where first 5 IPs and the last 1 IP will not be used. That we will talk about later. But the basic concept is, if you see /16, it means the total number of instances or total number of IPs is 65,536. I can use it in this VPC range. Now, say for example, my range is something like this. Example guys, okay? If I use 24, okay, say for example, I'm using something like /24. Now what does it say? /24 means I'm just copying and pasting it here. I'm just deleting these 3 things. Now what would be my first IP? First IP is 172.31.0.1. Same thing. Second IP is 172.31.0/24, which is different than this one. And how many total? It's just only I can use 256 IPs. 256 machines I can launch it in that. If you want more than that, then you have to define the different range. So when I say different range, say for example, you are expecting more than 256. So what you can do is, so see, if you put 23, see the count is getting increased to 512. If you put 24, it was 256. If you put 23, 512. If you put 22, see the count is keep on getting increased. 21, 20, 19, see 18. So if you put 18, you're getting 16,000 machines. 17, 16. Okay, if you want more than 65,536, reduce it. See 1,31,000. 14, 13. So likewise 1, 11, 10, 9, 8. See? So if you put something like 5, or it keeps on increasing. So always, basically you will see /8, /16, /24. So likewise, they will segregate the network. But in our case, you have to remember the /16, which will give you 65,536. As the number gets decreased, the instances count will keep on increasing. Okay, cool. Now forget about this. I want to delete this one. So now here our count is, we can launch 65,536 machines. That's fine. Now what is next? So VPCs, you know the basic understanding of this. Okay, now the next thing is if you click on subnets on the left side, yeah, click on subnets on the left side. Now, how many subnets we have? We have around 6 subnets. So all these 6 subnets, so all these 6 subnets are, so all these 6 subnets, right here, if you see this, all these yeah, so all these 6 subnets are mapped to only this default VPC. Yeah, and now if you see this, now what is this subnets? Again, what you can do with the subnets is, say for example, I'll show you a quick diagrammatic presentation. If you open this, let me delete it. Okay, so you have a VPC here. Okay, you have a VPC here. Okay, now this is a VPC, and inside the VPC, what we are going to do is, we are going to, you know, segregate to a different small networks. We call it as a subnetwork. So far we are launching 6 subnets. We call it as a 6 subnets. So if you go to my diagram, how many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subnets we have. So the same subnets I have put here. Okay, now here if you see our what was our IPC, what is our VPC CIDR range? Let me put it in Excel. Our VPC CIDR range is this one, correct? 172.631. Let me go to my Excel. Yeah, so we have these many CIDR for this one. We have these many IPs available. In this, what we are going to do is, we're going to put 6 subnets. So if you put 6 subnets, see, we have these many subnets, right? I'm copying this 6 subnets. So in this, what we are doing is subnet. This is a subnet 1, and this is a subnet 2. This is a subnet 3. This is a subnet 4. And this is subnet 5, and then this is subnet 6. Now if you see each IP address CIDR range for each subnet, see this difference, it's all coming under /20. So again from /16 they are just segregating into small subnets again. See this /20, and this is also /20, and this is also /20. Now let me open to my calculator, CIDR.xyz. Here if you see this, I'm putting this one 172 dot something, 172.31.0.0/20. So this is my first subnet. Now if you see what is happening, okay, see this 172.31.0.0/16. okay, in this, when you say /16, always remember, okay, 8 plus, see this 172.31.0.0. okay, if you see /16 means, okay, this is 8-bit. I think I'm going so deep. I would always suggest you to check some other tutorial on this IP basics. Okay, but still I want to tell you. So 8 plus 8 is 16. Total we have 16, right? So 8 plus 8 is 16. Okay, so here I'll just make merge and center, and then here also 8 plus 8 is 16. Okay, so merge and center. Now when okay, now if you see this, okay, I'll put it like this, put a table. Yeah, now see this 172.31.0. okay, this is a 8-bit, this is a 8-bit, this is a 8-bit. So that's why we will get what, 32-bit. The IP address, if you remember, it's a 32-bit IPv4 address. So inside this /16, when you say /16, this /16 will not change. Only this /16 will keep on changing. That's why we are getting the count of 65,536. If you remember the first IP, in the first IP, these two octets will not change till it hits the last IP. So what I'm saying is this part will never change. The /16, these things will never change. If you remember this, what I'm trying to say. Only these parts will keep on changing. Only these parts will keep on changing. Okay, so you need to understand this principle about this /16. So this is the network side and this is a host side. Now coming back to subnetworking. Now if you coming back to the subnetworking, out of this /16, I'm taking this out of this /16. What I'm going to do is I'm taking this subnetwork 172.30/0.0/20. Now if you do here in CIDR range 172.31.00/20, what is happening? Let's take this 172.31. I'm taking this into the picture here. Okay. Now what is my first usable IP? The same thing. So I'll put it first IP. First IP is this one. And what is my second last IP is this one. Last IP. Okay, last IP is this one. Now what is the count? 4096. So total I got 4096 since I have put /20. Okay. Now what is the next one? If you go to this one, what is this? 172.31. something. So let me click on 172.31 something, and then I'm checking the first IP. So 171.31.32.0, 171.31.32, 32.0/20. So if you do that, what's happening? Let's see. So what is the first IP? The first IP is going to be the 172, this one, 172.31.32.1. 172.31.32, after that .1. And what is the last IP? Last IP is 172.31.47.254. See this? This is the last IP which is giving. And how many total? Same thing, 4096 counts. So everywhere you will get 4096. If you go here, if you go to my console here, if you scroll right little bit, it will tell you what are all the available IP addresses. So here we have mentioned 4096. So where are the 5 IPs have gone, which I'll talk about it later. Okay. So just to give you a glimpse on it, there are 5 reserved IP addresses which will be used by Route 53, DNS and the Amazon. We'll talk about this later, but for now, if you see, it will tell you the list of all the IP addresses available here. So you can use 4091 machines on all these things. Okay, so even if you calculate these 4091, okay, let's do the calculation, rough calculation. So 4091, okay, into 5, so 20,455 plus 4090, 24,545 in machines instances I can use it at a time on this. Now okay, what about 65,000? See, still we have 65,536. So if you go here, 65,536, I'm just doing a rough 24,545. Still I can use 40,991 machines. I can use it still. So that's the beauty of this /16. So what we have done is we have defined the VPC /16. Out of this, we are doing a /20 out of it. So when you do a /20 out of it, we are dividing the network, and then we are generating a lot of instances in a different group. Got it? So that is the beauty of this subnetting. Okay, earlier we never had this kind of calculator of 10 years back or 15 years back. We have to do it manual calculations, but now we have CIDR.xyz and we have many other things as well. If you do a subnet calculator, you will get, yeah, this is also good. Online IP subnet, this is also good. And also IP subnet calculator, this is also good. And then, yeah, MX toolbox, this is also good. And also, yeah, another one, jodis.xe, this one is also good. Jodis.de, this is also good. It will give you, for example, if you want 172.31.0.0 sorry, /16 calculate see. So it also gives you what is a class B, is it a class A, class B, a lot of things. So you can check this as well. Or if you put /20 here and then calculate, so it will give you what all the bits are changing. So this is the 8-bit, and this is the 8-bit, and this is the 8-bit. In this 8-bit, the first 4-bit is changing because we put /20. If you put /16, then if you calculate, see, only these bits will remain and these bits changing. So just try to understand this, just give different numbers. Okay, if you put 32 here, see, you'll get only one count, which is this IP address. Okay, so if you put 31, okay, if you put 33, what is happening? 33, 33, if I type 3, it's not allowing me to do that. So 32 is the largest one. If you put 31, you get 2 count. If you put 30, so try to work around, try to understand the mechanism of this IP address. Even though if you're not from the basics of networking, if you play around, it will go and you will understand, okay, when you change something, what is happening. Okay, so this is the part of subnets, guys. Now let's talk about something on internet gateway. Yeah, so if you click on internet gateway, yeah, so we have got only one internet gateway, and if you see this internet gateway, it is attached to a VPC, our default VPC. Yeah, so here if you click on actions and then if you click on detach from VPC, I think I'll talk about this maybe in the next workshop, guys. I think for this video, I think this is fine. So we have seen VPCs and subnets. In the next video, we'll talk about route tables, internet gateways, and whatever is necessary. Then we will talk about elastic IPs as well. And then as the workshop goes, we will talk about multiple things here. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's take a quick break and then we will rejoin again.